one and only Kris Krohn.
How we doing, guys?
Great.
Everyone online, listen, put your cameras on. I want to see your beautiful faces. And how are you doing? Wow, Kris, we're doing so amazing. So great. Awesome, glad to hear it. So I've been thinking, what would be useful for me to share with you guys today? I had a chance to powwow with your team leaders. Oh, thank you for coming on. So good to see your beautiful faces. As your cameras come on, just do me a favor, put both hands in the air and say, what? Raise the roof just a little bit. Can everyone do that with them that's here in the room? What? By the way, y'all know that energy is everything. Yes or yes? Yes. So by the way, the reason why people want to do things with me correlates directly to how I've learned to harness my own energy. The better I get at creating the energy, the more people want to associate with me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How many of you can all remember a time in your life when you had low energy and you hung out with low energy and everything just felt kind of dead, but you could acclimate yourself to it and be okay with it? Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Raise your hand if you still hang out with people that are a little bit emotionally dead or energetically dead and you still keep them as friends. Raise your hand. Some of you here do in the room. That's okay. You can keep those people if you want. Just remember that the people that you hang out with are the people that you become. And your life's never going to change until you start hanging out with people that are significantly more successful than where you're at in your life. So I would say be incredibly intentional with the value of your time, which is part of what I want to talk about today, because it's going to look like for a moment that I'm going to talk about me, but I'm actually here to talk about you. This afternoon, I'm getting on my jet. I'm flying to San Diego. I've been asked to MC TNC, Traffic and Conversions. It's the largest digital marketing event of the year. Ryan Dice, Roland Frazier run and own that company. There's roughly that an exit on it last year to Clarion. They've got roughly 10,000 people that are scheduled to come. And Roland Frazier, being a business partner of mine on another company, said, hey, do you want to MC Traffic and Conversions? Now, when he asked that question, what was going through my mind? What could have been going through my mind? Help me out.
What's my ROI?
What's my ROI? What else could have been going through my mind?
Who's there?
Who's going to be there? What else is going through my mind?
Speak than MC.
Am I an MC kind of guy? What else could be going through my mind? Opportunity costs, what else could I be doing? I got my family to hang out with. I had all sorts of things going through my mind. However, in that split moment, knowing this, Traffic and Conversions is the largest digital marketing event of the year, and the who's who of anyone in business shows up. It's like an ultimate mastermind where there's going to be at least 500 people who have extreme high net worths. Their businesses are doing 8 or 9 figures a year in results. And then you have a whole bunch of wannabes. So you have a whole echelon of people that are going to be there. How rare of an opportunity do you think it would be to MC an event like that? What do you think?
Very rare.
Extremely rare opportunity. I've known about this for the last decade, and I got a private invite to be able to MC this. So here comes the question. My mind automatically starts thinking, and this dude is going to yank the opportunity from me or keep it extended based on my response. So how much time do I have really to respond in the moment live to Roland Frazier about whether I do or don't want to do this? How much time do you think I have? A split second. You better believe that I had doubt, that I wasn't sure if it was a good use of my time. I wasn't sure on a number of things. And if that's what came through my response, then that opportunity is going to be what? Retracted. So what I did is I said, absolutely, I'd love that opportunity. Thank you very much. Give me the details. Now, why did I do that? You have to be ready to take your shot, because in life, a few people are going to give you a shot, but most of your shots you're going to have to self-create. And the question is, what shot are you creating right now? For just a moment, if I were to ask, how am I going to be, and by the way, this event runs through Thursday. I said, hey, I can MC the first 2 days, and then I have something really important happening in my world. I have a retreat with all the leaders in my company, and I can't miss that. It's the most important thing that I do in business. because those 2 days will set up all of Q4 and determine whether or not we hit our goal for this year. And if we hit our goal, then next year, we're going to end next year with a high probability of our company being worth over $1 billion. So I only get 4 opportunities a year, only 4, to get the team moved cohesively in the right direction. So I'm going to be emceeing for 2 days, coming home short. Someone else is going to have to fill in for me, and I'm going to be where I'm supposed to be. But for those 2 days, everyone I could ever want to meet, I'm going to meet. And the cool thing about being the MC is they give me time on stage, and I get to put in any mini keynote that I want. They're all going to walk away knowing who I am, what my mission is, what my purpose is. They're all going to know that I'm going to Ukraine next week on my 2nd mission of the year to bring millions of dollars worth of medical supplies and extractions to help the people there. They're going to know that I just completed my $2 billion in real estate, over $6,500 deals. They're going to understand that I own hundreds of businesses. They're definitely going to see a display of my talent. What is the likelihood that I'm going to find 10 to 20 new potential business partnerships from emceeing that? What do you guys think? Low or high? Yeah. It's super, super high, but only because when the opportunity came, I had practiced what? Freaking showing up. See, the problem with commanding low energy and practicing low energy is that when the opportunity comes, you'll never be ready for it. One, it won't be extended because people do not give great opportunities to low energy humans. By the way, people don't get this. They always take energy and they chalk it up as woo-woo. They chalk it up as like, the energy, law of attraction, blah, 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 blah. Like they put it in a category where it's like, that doesn't matter. And I'm like, you're an idiot. The only thing that matters is the energy that you self-harness and create in your system. I go to the gym to get mentally tough every single day. And when I'm doing something really hard, guess what I program? This is fun. This is my preference. If I can do something to make it nastier, I invite people into my world to make it even nastier so that I can have fun and enjoy doing it because I'm training mental resiliency and physical resiliency because here's the truth. When you die, before you die and you're on your deathbed and you were say, I should make a list of the coolest moments of my life. Because that's what you do when you're on your deathbed. You think about your life and ask if it was worth it or what was good and what kind of sucked. Because you're either going to be having deathbed regrets or you're going to be celebrating all the way into the next. And I believe that the best moments of your life will be comprised of 2 lists. The first list are things that you chose and created that you loved. The person you fell in love with, the family you created, maybe those awesome father and motherhood moments, the things you created. But I think the larger list is going to comprise of all the crap that happened that ended up making for the best moments. See, here's something people don't understand. We live in a wussier world today than we've ever had. We are so used to ease and convenience that we're scared and we avoid doing hard things. But in the early 2000s, I told you about this. I'm going to share it one more time. They did a study. They created something called biosphere. And on the second biosphere in Arizona, what they did is they created the perfect scenario inside a bubble in a desert to grow the most tropical garden, period. They planted a bunch of trees. In 2 years, they got a decade worth of growth out of the trees. They're like, this is amazing. We created an optimal environment where trees could grow way faster than normal. But by the end of the second year, the trees had their limbs fall off and then they fell over and died. And they said, what went wrong? In the biosphere, there was no wind. And it turns out that a wood's strength, it's a measuring stick called wood strength. There was no wood strength. And they learned that what makes a tree strong, what makes its roots grow deep, is the adversity that it feels in the constant barrage of wind trying to push it over. It forces it to get strong. Here's the real truth. You only actually get stronger when you go through something hard, but if you do it with a weak mentality, you'll come out of it with victimhood. If you go into it with tenacity and audacity and excitement, you're gonna come out of it stronger, mentally, physically, emotionally. So I like hard crap because I think it's what matters the most. So with that being said, how does this apply to you? And I know how I think it applies to you, but I want to just pause. How do you think it applies to you? Where you're at right now exactly in your life. How does this apply? Go ahead, Nick.
I think it's easy to avoid the things that suck because it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
But just like you're saying, I mean, the things that have sucked for me have helped me make the most money, who have helped me, strengthen my relationships and become a better person. And so I need to embrace more of the things that suck.
Embrace the suck. Can I tell you how right you are? When I go get on my own stage and I talk to a group of people that came in town for Kris Krohn, that stage is easy. But anytime I get on someone else's stage and they're like, who dat? Who Kris Krohn? I have to start from scratch. I have to build rapport. I have to break through the third barrier. I have to get people excited. I have to do something amazing. I have to perform a magic trick. And then all of a sudden I have Kris Krohn fans. It's hard work. I'm going to TNC and I'm like, that's gonna be a rough crowd. Like, I'm gonna try to move some energy and you got 10,000 people sitting there going, I'm like, okay, like I'm just telling you, UFD is 10 times more fun to lead than that. So I have a challenge. I'm gonna have to figure out in moments, because by the way, I only get moments, to have to shift the energy of the audience so I can open them up, create a really awesome experience and have them say, wow, we got up, we moved around, we had some fun, we learned that Kris Krohn guy, he's okay, I wanna learn more about who he is. So I have hard work to do the next 2 days. I'm looking forward to it because I've trained myself that hard is fun, hard is preferential, hard is best, hard is what I'm actually looking for. Because wood strength is what ultimately creates a destiny you can be proud of on your deathbed. All right, so I like that. Can I give you, raise your hand if it's okay if I suggest an application for each one of you. Can I do that? All right, you've heard me say on more than many occasions that your employment here should be thought of as entrepreneurship, not as employment. And you're given an opportunity to run a business inside a business. And it's up to you whether your business makes you $500 a week or $5,000 a week. And that's no different than me owning a business. Because I'm gonna tell you something, there might be some entrepreneurs here in the crowd, and if you show up at this gig and you struggle financially, you shouldn't go into entrepreneurship. To do well here takes self-starter, to take your opportunity and to maximize it. Oh man, I got higher level of second chance leads this week than I wanted, so I created a story around that, so I'm waiting for something different to come along. There's trained weakness right there. There's trained ease. I want things to be simple for me. So here's my suggestion for you. If I'm suggesting that this is a home, and really a home, that is also designed not just to entreat you with a culture, a mindset, training, preparing you for your next in life. But the reality is how people become wealthy is by having a cash cow that makes money. You become disciplined at saving it for investing versus cool cars. And then you allow your investments, if you do that year over year over year, to eventually overtake your income. Does that make sense? Yes or yes?
Yes.
So by the way, when you talk to someone who only makes $50,000 a year, how much can they realistically save a year for investing? The answer is not enough. But if you can push yourself to get first to 100,000, should you be able to save more? Yes or yes?
Yes.
And by the way, if you can get to 100,000 and then you get to $250,000, do you think that's gonna help you save a lot more money? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah, so by the way, your goal here should be to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, which means that all of you should be striving to either be a backup closer, an assistant team lead, or a team lead. That's what you want to strive for. And if you're here for 2 or 3 years, trust me, you're going to have an opportunity at that, if you want it. But by the way, do you wait to be recognized, the few opportunities in life where someone promotes you, or do you create it for yourself? Which is it? So the question is, how do you create that for yourself if only Marianne can bestow it? How do you create a possibility of team lead? By the way, you watch, 2 years from now, we will probably have 15 to 20 team leaders. And I'm telling you, team leaders make pretty good money here. They should be able to save a significant amount of what they make and be able to invest it. And I know that's what a lot of our team leaders are doing. By the way, you don't know this, but when our team leaders spin off a team leader, they lose a valuable asset that they've trained. In exchange, I give them a year in my private investors club, which is about to go to $100,000 that they don't have to pay for, because I want them to take their hard-earned savings and what? Invest. I want them to have opportunities to invest. Instead of just saying, well, go invest, how about I give you opportunities to invest, right? So how do you actually throw your hat in the ring to become a team leader? Nick?
You have to do team lead things.
You have to do team lead things. By the way, what are team lead things?
10K minimum 6-week average.
So what is it?
10K minimum.
10K minimum on your 6-week average. You got to figure out, you got to crush the personal game. And I'm going to tell you something hard to hear. If you can get yourself to a 10,000 6-week average, raise your hand if you know that it's hard work to get there. Raise your hand if you know that. But guess what you can be rewarded with once you do?
100K.
You get rewarded not just with $100,000, but now if you become a backup closer on your team, if you become an assistant team lead, guess what you get? Now you have other people on your team setting you. And how much easier is it to post even bigger volume when you're actually closing deals for others? Is it a little easier or is it a lot easier? A little or a lot? So you gotta bust your hump to be qualified for working smarter than harder. But in the beginning, you only get rewarded with smarter if you first prove that you know how to work hard. So it's like you gotta do team lead things. You gotta get a good 6-week average. What else do you have to do? What are other team lead things that you do? Because by the way, you don't wait for someone to give you an opportunity in life. You create the opportunity. And guess who we always promote as team leaders? The people that act like team leaders. So how else do you act like a team leader? What does it look like? Training. Which means that you're offering to train what? Who and who?
Your other associate.
You could start by training, obviously, the other people on your team. But if you wanted to be MVP in the whole company, you'd offer to train who?
Anyone.
Anybody. Which means you're a servant leader. By the way, how many of you know that you're going to get recognized with servant leadership? Yes. I'm just telling you that we look for that. We're looking for someone that says, how can I find ways to help other people grow, even if it doesn't help me? And I'm just going to share with you a little secret of life that no one's figured out. The people that help other people the most and serve the most, you're selfish because you can't help but be rewarded for that. It ends up that the selfless way is always the most selfish way. Like, be selfless, help as many people possible. It's gonna come back on you. What else does acting like a team leader consist of?
Working past 5 o'clock.
Oh, so it's like, you can't have a 9-to-5 mentality. Instead, you gotta say, hey, there's a period of time in my life where I'm going to do whatever it takes, and that might look different. That might be Max actually out on vacation and missing a couple of days, creating an opportunity for Nick, right? To step up and do something really cool on your team. And sometimes it means, hey, guess what? Turns out that 1/3 of my leads want to buy. By the way, do they want to buy in the afternoon, in the evening, or on the weekend?
Anytime.
They want to buy in the evenings and on the weekends. But by the way, if you create a rule where you're like, oh man, I'm not willing to do an occasional call during those times, then you're just not there when the fish are biting. Right? So you got to be willing to sometimes get outside the box to go the extra mile 100%. By the way, it's easy to stand out in an organization like this if you're doing something different than everyone by going a little further. That's how you stand out. What else? What else does it mean to act like a team lead?
Asking for help.
Asking for help. Oh my gosh, it is amazing how we have to subjugate our ego and put it in check, because the ego says, I already got it. And the most dangerous phrase that a human will ever say, which Americans are ripe with, is, I got it. And they don't understand that it teaches pure unteachability, uncoachability, because any amount of ego, unsubjugated, is going to force you to be a robot to your past choices, which is how years go by and results don't upshift and up level. What else? What else does a team leader do?
You make a hard rule for no negativity.
You gotta make a hard rule for no negativity, right? Like you, by the way, you wanna be like McCrae. You wanna bring the freaking energy, you wanna bring positive energy, you wanna bring good vibes, and when things are moving in the opposite direction, you wanna become known on your team and in the company as the voice of positivity. Like 100%, I would 100% go for that if I were you. That's how I would stand out. It's like, I'm gonna be obnoxiously positive, right? Because remember, if you're hiding, if you don't stand out, then you can't be seen. So you have to ask yourself, how are you going to stand out? What can be authentic and real for you? By the way, the positivity that comes off of me, you better believe that 20 years ago, I was not this way. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. You freaking weirdo, you freak. Like, you're gonna stand out like that? Like, I don't wanna be that guy. I just don't care what people think anymore. Yeah. What else? Let's get 2 more things that team leaders do and what you can do to act like a team lead, because that's who we're gonna be promoting.
I got a couple more. One is love calendars. We've talked about this. Be great at time management, and then having non-negotiables and minimums.
Yep, so I love the calendar component, which is you're all gonna have to become really expert. Like, for example, did you know there's a skill to how you talk to a client on the phone and not just book them? How many of you wanna know how to get a higher percentage of appointments that actually meet on time?
Yeah.
Listen to this conversation. Hey, Scott, before we end this call, just a couple of things. I know that we're scheduled for Wednesday at 5 p.m. your time. I need to be really clear. I have so many people beating down my door that are trying to partner and get with Kris right now. that for me, it's really, really important to have you make that appointment. In fact, my preference would be for you to be available even 5 minutes early, pen and paper in hand and ready to go. If anything comes up and you can't be there, I need you to text me and let me know. And please not just right before, because that would dishonor my schedule. This appointment is really important to me because when I actually have you talk to the senior director, they're going to be ultimately determining whether you're a fit to actually work with Kris Krohn, be his partner, and I promise you, your life will never be the same again. So this appointment means everything to me. Can I trust you to keep your appointment?
Yeah.
If something comes up, will you give me far enough advance notice and let me know?
Absolutely.
Thank you. With that level of energy and intensity, this person does not want to mess with me on my calendar because I have a standard, I have a non-negotiable, and I just communicated. By the way, in my world, do you know how many people ever miss appointments?
No.
Never. Never. It's weird. It's like there's an energy that I communicate with that just seems to communicate that if you're ever to do something like that, you're dead to me. It's not mean. It's that I have standards. And I demand a respect. And you should demand a respect, right? And if you're ever feeling disrespected, you can't make people respect you. You're not showing up with power. You're not showing up with enough power. So you might have to evaluate, how do I show up with more genuine power so that people would never want to disrespect my schedule? So we could probably be here all day and make a bunch of things that you can do, lists of how you get yourself into a team lead position. Here's my invitation. In your life, if this is where you're going to be, the first commitment is to be here and to have been trained to be on a team. But that's actually the beginning. Until you make the decision, I will be a team lead, and I'm going to start acting like a team lead when?
Now.
When?
Now.
When?
Yeah.
If you're not making that decision, then it means that you're waiting for someone to act upon you and recognize you. And I got news for you. I'm going to say it now, so please get it. You belong here. This is your team. I believe in you. Our people, our leaders, our team leaders, Marianne, Ryan, we believe in you. But that's all you get. Anything you need above and beyond that, you have to give who? Yourself, which means you being promoted. If you want to be recognized for promotion, you have to promote who first? Yourself. So when are you going to promote yourself? Now. Everybody stand up. Put your arm to the square. I say your name. Choose this moment.
Choose this moment.
That I am a team leader.
Am a team leader.
I am a team leader.
Am a team leader.
I am a team leader.
Am a team leader.
So it is.
And so it is.
Give yourselves a round of applause. By the way, you want to know how to have rock hard abs. You want to know how to have a strong, fit body. You declare it before you get it. You want to have a better marriage. You declare it before you get it. Everything in life you want, you never wait for someone to give it to you. You never wait for the government to cooperate. You never wait on your bank account or your credit score or a business partner or a family member or a friend. If you wait, you lose. How you win is by recognizing that only you can choose you. And everything that will matter in your life is self-chosen. I am a team leader.
I am a team leader.
Whatever else you need to declare in your life, declare it today. Start showing up that way. And when you treat yourself that way energetically, the right people in time will notice it. And when it comes time for growth, guess who we're going to look to? The people that have already declared it. Marianne, are you okay with this?
100%.
Do you agree with this?
Absolutely.
Is this what you're looking for?
For a long time.
And by the way, every team leader here, I'm going to tell you right now, they love you and they need you to step up your game. And it's not their job to promote you. Every team is supposed to have a backup team leader. It's also supposed to have a backup closer, and a super strong team can have multiple backup closers because a fully mature team can do $250,000 a week on their own with expert setters setting expert closers and going back and forth instead of a weak team, which is a great leader and a whole bunch of wannabes, and they're disconnecting trying to throw up 30, 40,000. Last message of the day. I don't care what happened last week. The last 2 weeks haven't been our best weeks, haven't been our greatest weeks, haven't been our biggest weeks. Collectively as a company, we're crushing and killing it. Today is Monday. Do you know what today is?
Best day of the week.
Today is the best day of the week. It's the what?
Best day of the week.
By the way, Tuesday is what?
Best day of the week.
Wednesday, you have no sales on the board. Wednesday is what?
Best day of the week.
It's Friday, you have no sales. Friday is what? Best day of the week. I don't care if you're nearing the end of the week. How many of you know that you can pull an entire week out on Saturday? Yeah, so by the way, your job is to stay strong every day, no matter what. Team leader is not for when your numbers are good. A team leader is not when your 6-week average is where you want it to be. Choosing to be a team leader is when your numbers suck and you're coming off of a sucky week and you're not where you want to be, because real strength is cultivated and remains steady in the mind no matter what the outside world is producing. You do that, you'll always be fit for your next opportunity. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.